So one last video, the syllabus. Let's talk a little bit about it. I usually try to make sure these open into a new window. Sometimes I don't. But this is the syllabus. Obviously, this is an online class. Appointment hours. You just tell me when you need to meet. I'm pretty open. This does give you the unit schedule. So the unit technically starts at 2 p.m. and it continues until the following Monday at 1:59 p.m. In between, I try to post a wrap up and a what's coming type video. So I did that with Unit 1 already. You can see the objectives. Really, what I hope for each one of you is that you come out of this course with the skills and the knowledge to be able to work with an agency and help them manage their projects. Becoming a full-fledged grant manager or program administrator takes time. We can teach it. I can certainly give you the fundamentals and you can practice your skills, which you do with the portfolio entries. But a lot of what you do as a grant manager is stuff that you learn on the job. I call them fires. We do a couple of fire exercises. I don't mean real fire. I just mean, everything blows up and you have to fix it really quickly. So that's something that you learn how to navigate and finesse over time. So I don't want to give you false hopes that you're going to jump into the labor pool and automatically become the head of a $5 million grant, because that's probably not going to happen. What will happen is that you'll learn slowly over time how to navigate personnel issues, financial issues, policies, practices, guides, all sorts of things that fall under the term of grant management. I used to draw this big, huge circle on the board, and pretty much everything fell into the circle. The buck really does stop with the person who's in charge, and the grant manager is the person in charge. You hire people, you fire people, you decide which projects to do, which not to do, you decide where the money goes. So there's a lot of responsibility on the grant manager. So that's essentially what I want you to come out with, is the skills on how to start that career if you choose to. You can read over the learning goals, methods of instructions. I've given you one thing that you do have to have and you do have to read, and that is the OMB Super Circular. I'm really sorry. This thing is horrendously long, and it's a federal publication, so it's like the most awful dry reading ever. No offense to the writers, but you might want to just keep it by your bedside and try and weed through, 40, 50 pages a night. Okay? So class participation, obviously you have to participate. How do I know if you participate? I can see pretty much everything you do online in the course. So if you're not in the course on a weekly basis, or if you're not in for very long, you're not, discussing things with the other students, then I will know that and you will be deducted points. I mentioned Waldo, so here's one of those Waldo statements. You will need those for your very first assignment. This is simply the grading policy, and I do have to assign a grade, even though it's not really my mentality as an instructor. I'm more about learning as opposed to giving people grades. So what do you have to do? Portfolio entries are really important. These are where you practice the skills that you're going to be learning about in a very real way. For example, one of them is you have to write a letter in response to an audit request. So we'll get to that, but auditing can be a bad thing. It can also not be horrible, but this is something that a grant manager actually does. If they get an audit request, they have to respond to it. So you'll learn how to do that. The presentation, this is going to be in the form of a podcast. If you don't know what a podcast is, then you can certainly Google it. The most famous one, I think, is Serial, which is actually an excellent podcast. But podcasting is a new way of communicating, just like online learning has become a new way of communicating and learning. Podcasting is a way sort of a throwback. It's a little like listening, well, it is like listening to the radio, except that you're downloading a digital file that you can listen to at any time on any of your devices, including your computers. And they cover a broad spectrum of topics. Grant management, I just simply put in podcast, grant management. I think I came up with 8 that I thought were really reasonable. So I don't think that you'll have any trouble doing it. You do need to find out how to make a podcast. It can be as simple as using your iPhone, or if you want to get really technical about it, there is a studio on campus that does that kind of stuff, so you can email me about that. Management plan. You need to write up a management plan because it goes hand in hand with grant writing, whether or not you're taking the full certificate program or not. The grant management plan demonstrates that you have met all of the course objectives and goals, and it's due at the end of the term. I will be giving you examples of what a grant management plan looks like, and also each of the portfolio entries that you do will be incorporated into the plan. So there's no busy work in this course. It's not something I believe in, so we don't do it. Every portfolio goes into the plan. You don't necessarily copy paste, but everything is applicable to your actual management plan. Discussion board participation, we talked about that already. So you can see the summary. Other stuff, communication. I'm not a huge fan of texting because I'm kind of anal about proper spelling and that sort of thing, but I will. But if you text me, I don't know who you are, so you have to tell me, and you have to tell me what class it is. So if it's an emergency, please do, and I will get back with you. Blackboard. This is an online class. You have to use Blackboard. Please don't ignore the emails. Make sure your email is set up so that it doesn't automatically kick anything from the course into your junk folder. Okay, that's a must. I send out emails at least every week, usually more than that. Let's see, it's not a core course, but if you are going for the Grant Writing Management and Program Evaluation Certificate, you do have to have a B- or better to count towards that certificate. Please remember that. I get questions about that all the time. Academic, integrity. This is simple. Don't cheat. Retention policy. I have to clear out my computer at some point. So my computer or my physical files. So annually I go in and I purge. I know it sucks. Sometimes you lose everything. Your computer crashes. And if I can help, I will. But I really do. I clear out all of my old stuff annually. So if it's past a year, I probably don't have it. Here you have your schedule, right, for the course. And we have different materials, reading, speaker. It could be a lot of things. It may be a podcast that I find. It may be a speaker that I've actually engaged. I have a couple. But right now what we're doing in weeks 1 and 2 is getting ready for the rest of the class. So that's it in a nutshell. I also wanted to show you Purdue OWL. If you haven't ever seen it before, literally just Google Purdue OWL. And it is a great free resource for how to use APA style citation and formatting. We will be using APA, American Psychological Association, because we are a social science. So Purdue OWL, you can use this, or you can go buy the book. This is the same thing as the book. They update every time the book does, and it tells you exactly how, let's say you want to, references, something really bizarre. In text, footnotes and endnotes, we'll do that one. It actually gives you examples. So this is really, really useful for you. I hope that you've enjoyed this small introduction. Again, I'm Dr. Ryan, and I look forward to working with all of you this term. Have a great week.